Ucal's not going to get their hands on the Annie. Maybe Rookie felt like he was pinned into lane too much. She had a pretty rough game, which is not something you often say about Rookie. But removing one of the strongest pinning laners in the game, maybe that helps.
Vi certainly would be something that can pin people down in a similar way, but we'll see what the priorities are going to be for top esports. Like, without the Annie, maybe Ari can still be like your #1 pick, right? Nico's off the board, obviously. But I guess Milio's made it through as well, so you could just go for the Milio once again, even go for the Ari as well.
I think you kind of have to take the Ari just to deny the Vi-Ari combo. It's really annoying to play against, and one of Ari's best answers is the Annie, the other one is the Nico. Those feel like the matchups where you stop Ari from being able to shove and roam quite as much. So denying the combo, especially when a lot of the choice counters are gone, I think that is quite effective. And then now you have the Milio as well, which is of course the priority support of the meta.
He certainly is. And we'll see what they choose to pair him up with. I'm just saying, Cogmore's available, Draven's available. Look, all of these picks that were hovered in the first
we
jump
have
select
to
are
have
available.
an intervention at this point. It's not happening.
Well, we've seen one game, well, no, 2 games of Cogmore this split, I think. Both of them kind of ended disastrously, but you can see the potential. You can see the damage that was being done.
Yeah, I can see the potential to get clicked on by a Nautilus and a Vi, and I don't think that's particularly healthy for the poor little Void puppy.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. JackeyLove has never been one for smart decision making, so I can still see the angle.
Did you really have to do him like that?
Look, I'm just saying it how it is. Like, I don't even think that's a controversial thing to say, to be honest. There's Xayah going to be locked in here for JackeyLove. Like you're saying, with a Nautilus, with a Vi, Xayah makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely, and it helps him kind of walk the edge of that razor in the way which, in fairness, you're completely correct in saying JackeyLove plays things by a very fine margin. Having the Xayah ultimate gives you that extra degree of safety against this point-and-click engage, which not many other AD carries can deal with. So 1xN, going to go towards another hyper carry. It's going to be that Jinx, but it's not going to have the same kind of real explosive playmaking that the same Aphelios pick did in game 1.
So, Wukong gone, Asol gone, Gragas taken away from Hoya as well. This is just pure respect from top esports. Like, the Annie, the Aphelios, the Gragas, they're like, look, TT, you can't play the same comp again if we ban every single champion in your previous comp. Just taking everything off the board. Viego removed from Tian. K'Sante, I'm amazed, has made it this far through the draft. But Wayward should be able to just grab that for himself. And he did look good on the K'Sante. That play was so close to glorious at the end of the game, if it wasn't for Hoya's Gragas.
If it weren't for those meddling kids. I mean, he's going to have fairly just... Okay, which champ would that be in this game? I'm not sure we're going to get a Nasus login. Might have to wait a little longer for that one. But
that could have been the Cogmore. It could have been
it absolutely could. Okay, you know, suddenly I support the Cogmore pick. But this Gwen pick is so often second round banned when you do want to play something a bit more kind of front-liney towards that top side. Typically, it's been a Sion answer, but Gwen is very good into that K'Sante too. And now, even though you have a very long-range kind of sit-back bot lane with the Xayah and the Milio, the Gwen ultimate will reach them. So I'm interested to see what Hoya can do on something which does require you to have a bit more individual power, a bit more individual agency. The Gragas, it's easy to impact those team fights. You just got to press the R button. This Gwen, going to be much more the story of this game.
This would be an exciting lock-in if we do see it from top esports. I would love to see the Kha'Zix, a bit of pop-off potential for Tian here. But the Syndra up against Rookie's Ari here. Bit of carry potential from Ucal. The Jarvan was hovered by TT as well. And I remember coming into 13-10, Jarvan was a big pick in solo queue.
There we go.
But it will be the Kha'Zix locked in the end, Tian, with some carry potential. And this is a scrappy team. Look at that top 3 picks for top esports. They want to fight.
Well, same could be said for TT as well. Both of these top sides are going to be at least have the tools to really rip out the heart of these skirmishes. It's not like you can't go towards bot side as well. Nautilus, very easy to set up around, and both these AD carries will want to have a lot of gold in pocket. This is going to be probably a very different game compared to that first one. It feels like the engage is probably a little easier to come by because the pick CC is much more available from the likes of the Hook, and then also the Scout of the Week coming in from Ucal. Ucal doesn't have that Annie this time for the same kind of consistent engage threat of the Tibbers, but having that Scout of the Week, I think that's a tool to really watch out for, particularly when you have a very squishy jungler and a mid lane opponent you can also one-shot.
See if they can find those targets to one-shot if they can set it all up. The CC chain is kind of disgusting, though, from Ucal and from Beichuan. The Vi Syndra combo, like, you can die before you get to move again. So that could be a concern. If Tian gets caught, Beichuan just presses R. The follow-up there from Ucal can really ruin things. I feel like this is a very high damage game, Nymeara. Like, when you look across both teams, there is a lot of damage available. This could be an extremely scrappy game. This could be an extremely messy game. And that's what I'm really hoping for, especially after the early game in game number 1. I'm hoping we get a little bit more proactivity, a little bit more scrapping, a little bit more skirmishing. None of that Maokai nonsense. It's Karzik's time. It's time to see if Top Esports can push us to 3 games, or if Thunder Talk are going to find their upset.
And I definitely understand people enjoying some of the slower-paced League of Legends. It was the old, the Monte Cristo style of League of Legends, where it's like, oh, the only thing that needs to die is towers. That's it. Just about the rotations. That's kind of like your gourmet meal, though. That's your Michelin star. When it's played at its best, of course. But every now and again, you do need a burger. You need one of those fast food League of Legends games. And when you have all of these very high damage but quite easy to kill champions across the Rift, feels like we're setting up for that.
As far as I'm concerned, that is the gourmet. The thing is, like, this analogy pans to my actual eating habits. Like, when I'm buying pizza, I don't want your posh restaurant pizza that's stone baked and got some posh cheese on it. I want your deep dish, local takeaway, greasy pizza. That's the thing that's going to scratch the itch. And I feel like that pans to League of Legends as well. Because I want
you take a bite and you can just feel the acne cropping up on your forehead.
Exactly. I want to feel greasy looking at the pizza. And I feel greasy looking at this cheese in the bottom lane coming out from TT. 1xN, the target of Top Esports, though. And they're winning this one out for the time being. But JackeyLove ignited and low. And both teams will walk away. Yao should have his hook up again soon, though. This could be dangerous for Top Esports as Beichuan over the wall, looking towards Tian, but Tian has a ward and probably wins the smite fight with his Q. Beichuan going to move on in
Beichuan
here.
Doesn't have smite. I think he's looking to just force it, surely.
I don't think this is a fight that he can take. Tian gets the Gromp, and Beichuan's just going to walk away. Bit of a weird one.
What I can see this being, though, is just pulling JackeyLove and Mark away from the wave. We saw that very heavy trade level 1. Pulling the enemy bot lane away from bot lane allows the Jinx and the Nautilus to get a bit of an XP advantage, get push in the bot. So you can see JackeyLove hasn't got a single farm yet. And Beichuan, can they get a level 2 dive onto this bot lane? It's going to get warded out, but Tian is already moving away from this. He needs to come down ASAP. This could be a flash into a kill on bot side.
I was going to say, do they care about the ward, really? I don't think Tian's here in time. They're going to go for JackeyLove. He's still level 1 at this point, and worst case, they still deny a ton of CS. Oh, the wave comes and survives. Nico making her way into this game. The minions ruining everything. 1xN down for first blood. And JackeyLove denied minions, sure. But he'll take 400 gold instead. Yao next on the chopping block. It's a great little dredge line. But Rookie flashing forwards to find the mark here. Yao dodging everything, but it just doesn't matter. The
timing is too slow from TT. You can see the angle. Yes, level 2 to level 1, wave crash dive. But Tian gets there in time and bursts out 1xN, who didn't die the entirety of that first game, if I remember rightly. Incredible game on the Aphelios, but not able to start things off on the front foot this time. JackeyLove flashes out the way. Beichuan not able to connect onto that, and then the hook goes into the minion. And after this point, Tian has arrived. TT, they had a very small window of time to make things work, and that window closes.
And the fact that Tian doesn't get that kill and he walks about 1 HP, like, if Bark had got the kill, that'd suck. But the fact that JackeyLove gets the kill after this whole early game for TT has been around shutting JackeyLove out of the game, it means that that CS advantage that 1xN managed to build up off the back of this denial is just completely mitigated now. So JackeyLove will have the lead at the bottom side. First blood on that Xayah. It's a fantastic start for Top Esports. I do like the angle for TT. I like what they were trying to do, but Top Esports read it well.
Yeah, I don't think the decision-making in terms of the play itself was at fault. It's mainly just the timing at which they did that afterwards. But now they have to look at their own flash to steady carry, a couple of summoners down, and that bot lane advantage they were really angling for. Going to be a little bit hard to come by. They're now trying to build a slow crash on this next wave, maybe so they can get some vision control while it's sat under turret, but this might be a hook.
JackeyLove will be protected by Mark here. The Flame Choppers go down. Mark could be the target, but really want to commit to that one for the time being. And there is a huge CS lead in that bottom side, but you can see there are a lot of minions that are about to be swept up by JackeyLove. Tian in the area just in case anything kicks off for the time being. Well, you can see on the minimap that Beichuan nowhere near. This was never going to be that dive.
No, often what you do with those stack waves is you try and either get your support out of lane or you get a free reset. They go for the reset. There's a chance that they tried to establish some vision control. But nope, just getting themselves some boots and a longsword might help them fight in lane a little bit more. They've been very much fighting heavily before this point. See in the top side, laning phase going well for Hoya. Gets a demolish proc on the tower. That's a first plate. Has a significant amount of CS up there, which is very important. We did talk about how Gwen being picked up in that draft adds a very different style of play for Hoya to play towards in team fights. It used to be just kind of, oh, you know, get the cask in, it'll be fine. Gragas doing great stuff. Gwen will have a lot of carry potential in this game.
Well, finding an advantage, but being denied the recall. Wayward is not going to let that happen. Hoya will have to stick around, which does suck a bit because, you know, previously had a big CS advantage in that top lane. We'll be able to maintain most of that, but having an item disadvantage means it's harder to continue to build a lead. Beichuan in the area on this bottom side, as is Tian. I feel like both junglers are just really not allowed to farm their top side much. They've gone and cleared it, but making sure to path back down because they know that action could kick off here at any minute.
This reminds me a little bit of spring last year, where we saw, well, the players that we saw in that last series, Photic and Draw were great at playing around this with V5, where you'd have like Kalista Renata, Aphelios Renata, Jinx playing for lane priority as well. Everything was about, you fight on the first wave, you control the first 3 waves, you stack it up, and you either invade enemy jungle or you dive the turret. And while we've seen a lot of changes happen to towers, to champions, to items, whatever, to make that less an available playstyle, the skill set is still there, and you can see how TT could have walked away with a huge victory should that have worked.
Tian fighting for control of River as well. Pink ward down. Drake is up, but neither team really confident enough to go for this one. Top Esports do have a gold lead, but it is minimal. It is absolutely nothing at the time. And that's off the back of the fact that every single lane is slightly ahead in CS for TT. They're all, you know, 5 to 10 CS up at this point. So that's going to mitigate a lot of the gold from those 2 kills that Top Esports did find for themselves early on. Tian, though, will feel confident with the priority in that bottom side to start this Drake off by the looks of things. Or is that? No, Scuttle Crab. I take it back. It was not Drake. It was Scuttle Crab.
The more impactful objective, get yourself some crustacean meat. Ucal gets himself those boots first. Syndra has always been a champion which appreciates getting those early pen boots because you have such high base damages, or at least you used to. You still kind of do after your rework. It allows you to get a lot of good damage whilst also mitigating some of your lack of escape options.
Do you know one of the things I always thought was kind of strange?
Yeah.
How come it's crab meat, but fish is referred to as meat? Fish is fish. What's the difference? Because crab ain't meat either, really.
I mean, technically they're all meat. It's just what... I don't know. I feel like... Well, so first off, there's actually no such thing as a fish. Fish is just like a loose group of sea animals that we...
But
like biologically, there is nothing... Biologically, there is no such thing as a fish. There are some species of fish which are like more closely related to snails or dogs than they are to other fish, because biology works like that. But
right.
that's a weird...
Mean there's no such thing as a fish.
But biologically speaking, there is no such thing as a fish.
What is a cod then, if not a fish?
It's
yeah. Checkmate, atheists.
Yeah, I wish okay, not sure I've got the real grounding to really argue that one.
So, speaking of the ocean, it might be time for a dive down the bottom side. The wave will be cleared by one Exendo, and Tian continues his recall. So, won't be able to pull the dive off for now. Top Esports trying to get some gold into JackeyLove, though. 1 and almost 2 plates. Take it down to that bottom side.
So, while we won't have a dive, I do have an interesting fact about, well, not quite diving, but yeah, okay, that's going to be the Milio interaction with any given melee support, just cancel out with that Q. You know the animal which can hold its breath the longest is actually scorpions? They can hold their breath for 7 days.
Wow.
It's a long time.
Are they a crustacean then?
They are technically
crusty, a weird... And they can be under the water.
Aren't they closer to... I feel like scorpions are closer to arachnids, but they're their own thing.
They are arachnids, aren't they?
I can't remember. Again,
I'm
this
90%
is not
sure
like
scorpions are arachnids.
I
was
dropped
joking about
biology
the
at
big
A-level.
crustaceans. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's not even real biology, is it? That's like the stuff that kids Google.
To the
like,
many hundreds of
encyclopedias
biologists out there, I apologize for my co-cast.
It doesn't
sure
count.
That's a very
It doesn't count. Biology is plants. I remember school. It was awful. Anyway, the only biological thing I care about is Tian being in the brush. He's an insect. That's pretty biological. Unless you go by the standard I just set for myself. It's going to be a kill here for Tian. No, it's not. It's going to be turned around. Beichuan does fall as well as Rookie, able to answer. But Ucal saves the day there. Charm wide, hook wide, everyone missing in the mid lane.
And that's a big amount of gold to be giving over to this Syndra, who's gone for the pen boots. It's not like they have Merc-Tres. The damage is going to be significant coming out of Ucal, who already had a strong game one comparative. Rookie was really not able to play that first game, giving that kill over to the Syndra. Excited to see what he can do on that AP mage/assassin when they get ahead.
Ucal saving that minion's life with the W, so he could then kill it just a minute later. Pretty sadistic, if you ask me. But Hoya will get yet another plate up the top side. That fourth plate did go, the second plate, sorry, did go down in the bottom side as well. Let's take another look as Tian. It all looks so good to start with.
It did, because you had the isolation damage, you had the level 6 come in as well, so you had, I'm trying to think, yeah, you had the Q evolve for that, but Beichuan, great stun, and then also the second Q into the flash away, big burst damage, just about saves the day.
I mean, Ucal, absolute heroics coming out to make that play happen. Oh, the Herald, that's got to be 1 HP away from the second plate there. That was the tiniest amount of tower health. Look at that, it's a single pixel. And it means that it's only 1 plate into the pocket of Beichuan, and that 1xn didn't even get to share that gold. So, bit unfortunate there for TT. It will be Top Esports just about maintaining a gold lead, but it is really just a breath away from either team at this point.
A lot of that, though, comes from this lane. We just saw on camera, that top lane. Look at that CS lead, look at the plates. Hoya is really starting to run over this top side of the map. We saw Shanji win occasionally, Cassante versus Gwen, despite it being considered a bad matchup. But you often do that by proxying the wave and not actually facing the Gwen at any point. Wayward's not been able to do that. He's just had to sit and bear the brunt of this damage, not able to get beyond that turret. And Hoya is getting a lot of gold on a champion that's going to have a lot of agency to rip through Top Esports health bars later into the game.
It's kind of funny to talk about Shanji, isn't it? When it's like the way that you win this lane is by just proxying and not actually playing the lane. We're talking about a Shyvana top player here. Like, of course the way to do that is just proxying and ignoring the other laner. That is the most Shanji thing I've ever heard. Aside from, you know, when he plays Rumble, he plays the lane. But yeah, the man is willing to proxy. But like you say, big lead for Hoya. Fantastic stuff to see, especially after the end of last game. He really was a highlight player for me. And to be honest, TT, they're probably okay with this early game going as slow as possible. Like, Kha'Zix is not exactly a scaling champion. Granted, it's a long time until he falls. I call him a dragon. Yeah, we're a long way from Kha'Zix falling off, but if the game does go really late, probably favour TT's comp.
In a lot of ways they do, because they have themselves big range advantage, rather, particularly with the Scout of the Week being really threatening from that long range as well. A good zap can lead into that. We've got this Dragon startup, it's not going to take away Hoya's on the flank.
So hook onto JackeyLove there, but yeah, might have gone too far, looking for the feathers to be pulled back here by JackeyLove. They're committing everything onto the AD carry, and it'll pay off. 1,000,000 ultimates blasted out, but JackeyLove goes down. Now it's slow to mark. He's got no summoners, but they won't commit.
Not this time, but Hoya impacting the game already. Completes that first item. Wayward at least manages to get a wave into turret, get a couple of plates back, and start to claw back something of an individual sense of evenness between those two champions. But Hoya manages to set up the bot side of the map for success. Plates have fallen. 1xn not going to be able to return to get any plate gold there, but it will be another wave lost to turret. Top Esports at least walk away with 2 early game dragons.
Yeah, Beichuan having to stick around here just to make sure 1xn doesn't get taken out. 1 billion wards in every direction here. This Top Esports trying to find a pick. 1xn wanted to go for that tower, but with Tian in the area, there was just no way.
Now, one of the big things which happens around that dragon take is that the Blade Caller had already been put out by JackeyLove.
Yeah.
Doesn't get to ult into the E, uses that E to burst down the dragon, which means that he can't control that choke point. TT, they spot that and they say, okay, all right, fight's on. They don't get that dragon, but they at least manage to get themselves the chase down afterwards.
JackeyLove looking to finish this tower off, but Hoya trying to defend. He's in a 1v2, 1v4 actually, as the rest of the gang are moving on over. The flash is too little too late. JackeyLove takes a chunk, but Hoya didn't land the needlework. And it means Top Esports just get themselves a free kill.
Ah, that's an awkward moment from Hoya. You see the angle again. Jinx ult coming down. If you hit another couple of your ultimate stacks, maybe that gets the kill onto the Xayah in a 1v4. The bit of an assist across the map, but Top Esports now, they got themselves the control over the bot side of the map with huge amounts of vision control. JackeyLove gets himself some gold off of that one too, gets a turret. Top Esports, they're getting themselves a gold lead off of this.
Yeah, the mid and top tier ones are extremely low. That will be the mid tower taken down. And I don't think they can finish off the top tower for the time being. Beichuan in the area. Wayward has to back away. They should be able to finish off both of these tier ones. So TT at least getting something on the map, but I don't know, the tier 2 towers are so valuable in those side lanes. I don't know if this is worth for TT.
Especially with JackeyLove getting a large amount of gold now. That's getting quite scary because despite you having range increases and a lot of damage across the team of TT, going into Feathers is still going to be a very perilous battleground to face Top Esports on. JackeyLove about to get towards that second item. He can really start making up for a bit of the AD carry diff that was shown in Game 1.
Yeah, JackeyLove set up for success. But then, to be fair, I don't feel like he wasn't set up necessarily in the previous game. JackeyLove had the items. He was on Zeri with Emilio. Like, he certainly had the tools, just couldn't make it happen in the end. Getting caught out by Hoya in that final fight was the difference maker. This time, though, 1xN, not on that Aphelios. He is an Aphelios specialist. We'll see how he does in these late game fights on the Jinx, as though Tian is caught out here. That's the combo we talked about, but healed up. And now Beichuan in trouble. Instead with a blast cone, sends Rookie back to Narnia. And Beichuan gets out with his life.
Oh, Ucal not quite able to get a second sphere out before he can get that ultimate down to empower that Syndra ultimate. Not quite there with the execute either. That comes later into the game for the Syndra. Very close run stuff. Tian lucky to get away with his life.
They're trying to just spar with Wayward here, but not be able to find anything. Has to back away. And this is tense. This is a very tense mid-game for our two teams. We're headed towards that 20-minute mark. Drake coming up in just over a minute here. And I feel like that there are arguments to be made for either team being the one in the driver's seat now, right? Where Top Esports do have a bit of a gold lead. They've got a good chunk of gold on JackeyLove because of that bot tower going down. Rookie in a very strong position. But equally on the other side, like, off of the early game and off of the CS lead, 1xN in a very good spot himself. And when you look towards the top side, Hoya in a great spot with his Mythic already finished off. Not to mention Beichuan actually finishing a second item there as well, so he'll be able to set those carries up. I feel like it's very much up for debate which team is in control right now.
You can see that Ucal even went for the crown build on the Syndra, which is a little unorthodox. As you can see there, gets popped quite easily by the Xayah Q. In side lanes, Syndra's going to be much harder to pick off while that item is active. You need to get on top of that Syndra, blow that shield first before you get to one-shotting them in return. Syndra's going to do a good job of trying to do that to you in the first place. However, Dragon's going to spawn. It is only that Chemtech Rift, the Chemtech Soul. The plants are great. It's a great Rift. The actual Soul itself, not the most impactful, particularly in a game with so much damage like this. A lot of the time, because it only gives you that extra kind of damage and damage resist below 50% HP, it's not going to be that valuable against the burst. TT, they're going to take Dragon, they're going to Herald mid.
Look at this. They're calling the bluff of Top Esports. Top Esports were like, look, you can have the Drake, we don't care. We're going to go for a top tower. Tien was up on that top side as well. TT are like, look, we've got Herald. We're going to take the Drake, but we're also going to take your mid-tier 2 off the back of Tien being on that top side. Great map read for TT.
It is, and it's also that inner turret gold. We talked about that being big for JackeyLove kind of participating that on the bot side when they went around to that macro play. Top Esports, I don't think they can finish this mid lane out of turret themselves. They can't, so it is going to be that inner turret and Dragon picked up. And now the gold, which was starting to balloon a little bit for Top Esports, much more back to even now.
Rookie having to move down to catch the wave on the bottom side, while Ucal moves up to the top side to deny any push from Tian. Wayward, Top Esports will back away. The play is over, and I don't know, in gold, I think it was I don't even know. I don't even know. I feel like it was fairly even, but the Drake going the way of TT is pretty big on top of the tower. Ucal being very cautious. He's a bit nervous that someone's waiting around in the wings. Does have that crown to keep himself safe. And Hoya making sure he has vision dominance here in the bottom side. TT, very cautious play. You love to see it.
Okay, Rookie going to teleport back in towards this mid lane. Top Esports would love to get this mid lane out of turret down. They've taken some side lane turrets, and JackeyLove's doing a great job of DPSing this down. But they, oh, that's the ult traded.
Featherstorm goes out. JackeyLove will keep himself safe. I will say, depth charge, bit of a shorter cooldown than Featherstorm, but the window will be small to try and punish that.
Well, that's why you have a Vi with Ultimate 2. It means that you can kind of play double duty. As long as one of them forces the ult, JackeyLove has to play much more cautiously. And when you're trying to take down this mid lane out of turret, you can see it's very dangerous to walk up like this. Top Esports have to bring in extra teammates to keep this push alive.
Then again, actually, with Navori Quickblades, I'm not sure that what I said was even true. Look at the ultimate cooldowns. They're basically matching each other right now. JackeyLove might even be slightly ahead, so... Yeah,
if he was level 11 while it was cast, which I think he was, it's going to be a fairly low cooldown. You're absolutely right. Those quick blades do come in.
True, yeah,
you don't always see that. You don't always see that from Xayah right now. Sometimes you see a lot of Gale Force, but this is going to be those quick blades put in. Either way, some extra engage ultimate still available from TC. You can always just land a good hook. That can be a game difference maker for that point in time. The past 20 minutes again, Baron's on the table. One mistake at this point, maybe with that ultimate being down, could be a huge hallmark in this game.
It's an increasing gold lead for Top Esports. 2,000 in their favor at this point. As they try and snowball more. Look at the amount of wards in the bottom half of the map for Top Esports. It is just covered in red at this point. Drake coming up, not for another 2.5 minutes, so that vision won't lead to anything in terms of objectives. But TT, moving towards the Baron area here, will be able to clear any vision thanks to that Chemtech Soul. I will say that the Chemtech Rift, those plants are so powerful, especially the Scryer's Blooms that also damage the wards. The speed at which you can clear vision when given space is terrifying.
Well, like there's more of them. They reveal a small area around them as well, so anything which is not even in the cone which you're blasting it towards, and then the area around it, it'll cover all of that. It really helps you control all of that vision control. And when it comes to this mid lane ping pong back and forth, when you're trying to play around side lanes, if you are the team with the Syndra, which needs the extra degree of safety, those plants will hamper your ability to do that.
Certainly will. Rookie fishing for a charm here. He's looking for 1xn. The Everfrost is gorgeous, but Yao Yao ends up being the target. Still 3 stacks on the Spirit Rush. Rookie could look for another attempt. It's Beichuan getting cheeky with it. Wants a way to potentially steal a Baron if Top Esports are willing to commit to that. Rookie could be in danger if he goes into that approach, but Beichuan's backed away. So Beichuan not been spotted just yet. The control ward to keep himself out of vision there. But Top Esports not willing to just commit. They only got a support. Would be very dangerous to go for the Baron there.
So that's a great point, because there is somewhat of a, and it'll depend on draft, but on the whole, you have like a priority list of targets that you want to take down before a Baron. First, it's pretty close between jungler and AD carry. AD carry is right now so very strong, especially when you get that Baron up in the game. They're around about 2.5 items as we see at this point. Kill the AD carry, you can likely turn off of a Baron and win a fight. You kill the jungler, you can likely just go for the kill because they don't have a smite to secure it. You really, at that point, you don't want to be killing someone with teleport because they might be able to respawn it and then to come back into the fight. And then a support at the end of the day is just a support, especially when it's a Nautilus. It's like, oh well, whatever. It's not like we've denied like an enchanter from a hyper carry or something like that. So Top Esports sadly not able to get the most high priority target in that pick.
Rookie moving into it, trying to clear some vision here alongside Tian. Drake coming up in 10 seconds time. And we've got a bit of a catch out in the mid lane. Wayward the target, but as we saw in game number 1 and we'll continue to see, you just can't catch Cassante. He's too slippery, he's too tanky. He'll walk away with his life. TT in the river right now. They're in control of the area, but whether or not they're confident enough to actually start the Drake is a different question. Tian can solo that pretty quickly. JackeyLove forced to use Featherstorm off the back of a zap. That is a huge cooldown trade.
Rookie now going to be able to catch Beichuan though.
Oh, this is huge. What a pick onto the jungler of TT. And in the meantime, Wayward behind enemy lines. He's onto Hoya here. Hoya could be in trouble himself. Orbit Deception does a bit of damage there. Needlework to trade it back, but Tian finding his way behind enemy lines. Another great charm coming out from Rookie. Ucal's in trouble, and Tian dives in. We said he was behind enemy lines. They're not the lines of the enemy anymore. They belong to Top Esports.
Well, there's your priority list. You can't just kill everyone and then go towards the objectives. That'll do you just fine. Vision control into picks works out beautifully for Top Esports. Rookie, after a difficult game one, finally managing to make his mark here in the second. It's going to be a Baron. It's going to be Top Esports taking control of the entire map.
Yeah, Baron and Dragon taken simultaneously. Tian can solo that very comfortably as the Baron taken out by the rest of the team. Beichuan just not realizing the Rookie could be behind the team.
But the fact that this happens at the same time that 1xN is being forced to retreat, flash backwards, and not be in a position to fight is really well timed by Top Esports. We've had some concerns about some other teams which will have great playmakers, but they're not at the right time, not in the right place, not happening together. That isn't obviously very applicable here. Top Esports, they time it really well. All of these key plays happen at the same time, and that leads to a really important victory for them in the mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can deny the depth of talent that Top Esports has on their squad. And one of the big questions has not been about how good they are individually. It's a question of how well they can work together. Like, you know, the mid-game woes, as we referred to them earlier,
Yes.
have been a lot of mistakes on how to play the map and how to work together in a lot of situations. It feels like today their focus is working together, right? The way that Rookie and Tian have been moving around the map as a pair, like playing as that kind of assassin duo. If the charm lands, Tian will finish them off. And it does feel like Top Esports have been doing their homework a bit to try and improve coming into today.
Tian now has free reign to be a bit of a split pusher himself, has an Edge of Knight's Shield, has himself, of course, the leap to get out to safety. Tian can be a split push threat and Baron up those minions. Hoya on this bot side might run into him. Not going to be dueling at this point, and now Ucal gets his crown popped.
JackeyLove staying safe there. Does get stunned, but won't take too much damage. There's now, I don't know if they can hold on the way that Top Esports did in the previous game. Top Esports muscling their way through the tier 2 in the top side. TT. It feels tough at this point. Getting close to 3 items for 1xN though. And when that Infinity Force is finished, 1xN will certainly start to be a terror in these team fights. It just feels like he doesn't have that much frontline to work with.
No, Rookie's going.
Oh! Rookie just flashes in. Ucal's gone. That's the assassin Ari that we always used to see. And Rookie making it real once more. Hoya, 1xN, Yuyanjia, 1v3 to try and save this game. But Top Esports don't look like they're showing any signs of stopping here. They want to finish things off. It was such a slow start to things, but speeding things up beyond the 20-minute mark, they get the Baron and they're looking to end the game. They won't be able to do it just yet, but these Baroned up cannons will keep on going. They've got 20 seconds left. They won't be able to go for it. They move up to the top side. They want a second inhibitor.
Yeah, TT are alive, but there's barely clinging to it. Minion wave just about cleared out by Hoya's ultimate, but Hoya, on this Gwen, not really been able to impact things. The picks have happened before Gwen can get into a grouped up situation, around a choke point or the like. Hoya has just had to be kind of spectator to Tian and Rookie really finding the crucial picks. This one happens under the turret. It happens as the Baron comes in. And it's a great pick onto Ucal, who in his own point he's positioning way too far forward for one of these Scout of the Weeks. His crown is down. It's been popped very easily by Isaiah. The item doesn't give him any value in that situation. Rookie pounces onto him.
Oh, we've got to fight live as Wayward caught out potentially, but Rookie's here! And another great Everfrost, another great charm, sets up the players. Ucal's taken out Yuyanjia next, but JackeyLove in trouble? No, he's not. He's got a triple kill. JackeyLove is never truly in trouble. Yuyanjia trying to escape with his life, but taken down as JackeyLove gets himself a quadra kill. Beichuan just looking to be a nuisance, escape with his life. JackeyLove will not get his penta, but he'll get a quadra kill and he'll be happy with that. 15-3. After game number 1 looked so good for TT, Top Esports show us that they are the ones in control.
Bit of an awkward game from TT. They had a failed bot lane early dive, which didn't really set themselves up for success, and it did feel like as soon as we hit the ability to kind of head outside of that laning phase, it was top esports all day, every day in that game too. The playmaking finally came through in a way that we just didn't see in game one.
Yeah, kind of a tough one for TT, honestly. Like you say, that first dive going pretty poorly, and the thing is, it didn't even feel like it was necessarily TT's execution. It was more that top esports did a really good job of reading that, like a really good last second flash from JackeyLove, so that there's the overcommit from Beichuan, then Tian is there to finish those kills off. And 1xN falling behind in the early game instead of being massively ahead, we see a very different version of League of Legends.
That we do. So it's going to be a couple of things to consider now into Game 3 in terms of, okay, what were the picks which you can kind of take on from Game 2, even from TT side, because you assume you're probably not going to get the Aphelios again. I wonder if you're going to get yourself even something like that Gragas again, because Hoya looked much better on that pick in terms of impacting the late game compared to that Gwen. And I'm wondering particularly what's going to happen between the two mid-jungle duos, because as Ucal was saying in one of the videos we had before Game 2, before this game, he said that his job is basically containing Rookie, making sure that Rookie can't just run over the map and be the player which we know he can be, and allowing his own teammates to then outvalue top esports across the map. That didn't happen in this game.
No, it certainly did not. Rookie definitely took control of things. And to be honest, it was Ucal specifically getting caught by Rookie in those last couple of fights as well. Like, we saw Rookie flashing onto Ucal on the top inhib play, and then another Charm Everfrost onto Ucal in the final fight. We didn't get to see the setup for that one because we were in that replay, but Rookie coming in from the side, finding that opportunity. So really fantastic play coming out from Rookie. And it feels good to see like really proactive, like high damage Ahri play, because like we were talking about in the first series of the day, quite often you see it essentially being a utility CC bot a lot of the time, with the Everfrost and the Charm being really what you're picked for. But Rookie showing that you can bring damage to the table and you can carry the game. JackeyLove as well had a pretty good game for himself, despite the fact that quite often we saw the Featherstorm popped before fights. He was still surviving. The rest of the team had so much threat that he was able to then function beyond those ultimates and, like you see, do a massive amount of damage in the late game fights.
We said that JackeyLove, he likes to walk the razor's edge, and occasionally that cuts both ways. Game 1, so I'm very close to winning some of those late game scenarios. But as you said, that significant damage coming in from Rookie helped kind of carry on that game as well. And, you know, as a player of Ahri, a main of that champion, I've had to endure a lot of people kind of just taking a back seat and not really having their agency in the game, just being content to be utility when there are perhaps more carry options they have available to them. But when you see players like Rookie or an Angel in the series beforehand have games like this, you're reminded the agency which a champion with so much mobility and reset potential can bring to their team, particularly when you are comboing up with a very proficient jungler like this Kha'Zix at dealing damage, piloted by Tian.
Yeah, and when so many of your kills are ending up going into the pocket of JackeyLove as well, like, it's the dream scenario, isn't it? Where you've got this jungle mid duo taking over the map in terms of like vision and in terms of what the enemy are allowed to do. And then you've got your AD carry that's got Emilio alongside him, popping off with all of the items. Like, it really couldn't be going much better, could it? Wayward actually having a really great game for himself as well. Not the greatest scoreline. I mean, not a bad scoreline, 0-0-8. He wasn't the one getting all the kills, but disrupting a lot in those fights. And I think you said it early in the game, where we saw the dive from Tian, or the pick onto Beichuan from Tian and Rookie on one side, as Wayward is then threatening 1xN on the other side of the play. So really, really good coordination from top esports. That means we get to go to 3 games in this series, and I'm excited for it. I hope TT can come back from the drawing board with something more for game number 3. I want to see a repeat of game number 1. I want to see this go the distance. We'll have to wait.